The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Everyone ran their socks off tonight and they left everything out there. They're very proud of the team's performance.
Let the shackles off Katie a bit so that she can go and play her game.
We're going to go out there to beat them. We're going to try and beat them.
Hello there and welcome to episode 23 of the COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports. I'm Kathleen McNamee and with me as ever is the one and only Vivian Miedema of Kilkenny, Karen Duggan.
Favourite intro so far.
I thought you would enjoy that one. All right. Congratulations on the weekend. Got on the score sheet. Very nice.
Oh, deadly from 1 yard. Maybe even less than a yard. But look, they all count. Bit raging that Anya stole the limelight by scoring 5. But look, she's selfish.
Breaking news from the COYGIG Pod.
Yeah. Karen fuming. Her teammate scores 5 goals.
And though it was a very impressive win, and I was quite delighted to see you score. I was like, I know her.
Hopefully I'll get more than one this season. I don't tend to get too many, but look, it's a start. It's a start.
Exactly. And it's all a bit of fun. It gives me something to talk about in the intro of the show.
It's all for the content.
Exactly. Don't even think about the title race. Just do it purely for my sake. The COYGIG Pod and OTB Sports is an association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. It's a sad week on the COYGIG Pod as Emma Carroll has ditched us for her holidays, rudely going to a sunnier place. Yeah. But it's all right because I have done a team of the week, which is an experience that I now have so much sympathy for Emma that she has to compile this every single week. But that will be coming up later, so stay tuned. I can't wait to see Karen judge every decision I've made.
I'll be judging.
I'm much better when it comes to just like making points against what Emma has said and just telling her not to rely on her bench. First though, we will talk about the weekend's WSL because there was lots of very exciting games. I'm going to start with Chelsea and Tottenham because that was very nearly a disastrous moment for Chelsea. They came out 3-1 winners in the end, went down to 10 because Ann-Katrin Berger was dismissed after half an hour. And at that stage, they were a goal down. Didn't think they were going to be able to come back in it, but what a performance to get that 3-1 scoreline. Yeah,
I mean, Arsenal were surely looking at that with 30 minutes gone, being like, there's points on our way here. But God, they really just turned it up a notch, even with the 10 players. And yeah, Berger, it was a definite red card. So I think that was a rush of blood to her head. I think that Williams was firing, going away from goal. Bit of a mad one, but they kept creating chances. Kerr had a couple chances. To be fair, I think it's Musovic, I might be butchering her name, that came on for Chelsea. She had an important couple of touches, kept them in the game. And then their quality again just shone through, and that Fleming goal to make it 3, like that's a contention for goal of the season. And you talk about big moments, and to seal a really hard fought victory like that, I think they'll look back on that game possibly as the one where they knew maybe that this title was theirs.
Well, Hayes called it, that said that the performance ranked up there as one of their best ever, which when you consider some of the opposition Chelsea have played and some of the games they've played in, that is very high praise from her. But she was basically saying it was the way they came back, the way they gathered together. You know, I saw certain performances like Jess Carter, Erin Cuthbert, the way that they adapted once they did go a player down, and it almost, because they weren't great for that first half hour anyways, and it was almost like going the person down and then the goal down shocked them into actually performing life. Well.
Yeah, panic mode, because I think they probably would have gone through the motions and eventually got a goal or two anyway, but yeah, it really shocked them into life, and they did have the quality just to overcome them. And yeah, again, like you say, the likes of Kerr getting her 27th, I think, of the season. For someone who's so small, she gets a lot of headers, but big moments. And I guess Emma comes in for some praise again. Like, it's tough on England. Again, she was taken off. She was the sacrificial lamb because of Berger's red card, but they all rallied around and they created enough chances to win it in the end. And Spurs will be disappointed that they're just leaking goals and don't seem to have that same killer edge that they did at the start of the season.
This is what I was kind of surprised about, because after the match, like Skidder and a couple of players and stuff almost didn't seem that disappointed that they had lost out on those. They would, because it's a perfect opportunity to take a big win against
big scalp,
like
yeah.
Chelsea. Yeah, even a big draw against them would have been like pretty impressive. You could have derailed their title chances, which when you're not actually competing for something yourself, really,
and as a London club, as a London club, you think they'd want to do a bit of damage to one of their neighbours and even just breed a bit more confidence back into the squad. But yeah, like you say, it was just kind of one of those ones they'd expected to lose, and then because they did, they just accepted it. But when you're 1-0 up with an extra player, even just park the bus. I don't know. I think that maybe they just got their tactics wrong. They didn't adapt to Chelsea at all in any way. They didn't really know how to manage the game. So that's something that they definitely need to look at if they're to again start competing for those Champions League places next year.
Yeah, definitely. And then we briefly mentioned it earlier, but Arsenal played later on 3-0 against Everton. Unsurprising result, really. I mean, Everton has scored once in 6 games in all competitions. They only had 1 shot in the entire match, didn't have a single corner. If anything, Arsenal probably should have won it by a few more than just 3 goals.
Yeah, they should. I think, and it was late on, I think, even when they got that 1 shot by Everton.
It was Arsenal, the 2nd minute of added time.
Arsenal, they dominated. Now, in saying that, I think 2 of their goals were probably offside, but also they had 1 ruled off for offside that wasn't offside. So maybe there's another VAR conversation coming up around that. But Arsenal were good when they needed to be good. Blackstenius and Ford were linking up really well on the left. Mead was everywhere when she needed to be. She got her assist to make her top assister of the WSL of all time, overtaking Karen Carney, I think it was. So 36, she was player of the match, got a goal, got an assist. So she was very, very good.
Yeah, again, and much like Spurs, I was kind of surprised at some of the stuff though that was coming out of Arsenal after the fact. You look at the season they've had, out at the Champions League quarterfinal, lost the FA Cup semi-final, lost the belated FA Cup, and Mead was talking about the fact that they're just praying Chelsea slip up. Edeval said it's much more fun to be fighting for the title, and if anyone had told us that before the season, we would have taken, so let's enjoy it. And I was like, you have an easy run in, but Chelsea don't have a particularly hard run in either. How much are you actually fighting for the title at this stage, and would you not be slightly more disappointed getting to this stage that it is all in Chelsea's hands?
Yeah, you kind of wonder, are they just downplaying it, that really they are bulling for this in the background and that they're more aggressively going for these things? It was hard to tell yesterday because it was such an easy match. If they were tested, we could kind of see if they still have that metal in them to keep going, because Chelsea still have to play Man United now. Obviously Man United took a big step back in their fight for Champions League, but I think they'd still love to set the tone for next season. And again, like Spurs, all those teams should be looking to be the giant killer at this point. I hate to bring it back to the WNL, but Galway celebrated beating us in the last game of the season massively, even though it led to them getting 5th place, but it's what people were talking about and built them up for this season, and it would give confidence for people going into next season. So I think that teams who are up against the likes of Chelsea should be looking to do that. No,
definitely. And when you're in the middle of those big moments, it's amazing how much attention it does bring to you, and how much people kind of almost don't even look at where you finished in the table. They're just like, oh, they got that big win against Chelsea or whoever it was. That's the thing that sticks in people's mind. And part of me also feels that with United, they had that 0-0 draw at Aston Villa, first time Villa has ever taken points off them, that if anything, that's going to set them up to be a bit more fiery against Chelsea on the last day of the season. Because
and even Villa, that them taking the points this weekend, that was the standout result to me. That's the one I was more interested in, looking at the highlights and seeing what the hell happened in that game. So teams should be wanting to do that. I hope Man United bounce back. I'd love to see them fight for it right to the last day of the season, because again, you don't know what could happen between now and then. Man United actually didn't play badly. That was the thing.
No, they had 18 shots.
It was insane. 18 shots. I think they had 6 on target. created so many chances. They missed some absolute sitters, so they'll be really kicking themselves. It was almost like revisiting the start of the season where they were playing well, but maybe weren't get hit any goals as the likes of the top teams like your Chelsea and Arsenal. They were putting big scores up, whereas Man United were stumbling over the line in a couple of games and they just couldn't seem to do it against Villa. But big credit to Villa as well. I mean, that's a big point for them. They're a team that's not really playing for anything, only pride at the moment, but they're showing it, which is what you want to see from all your teams. And I think Spurs could take a leaf out of their book possibly.
No, definitely. And also you look at the people who put in the big performances. Like for me, it was players like Anita Asante, Rachel Corsi, who are, you know, veteran players. They're not young up and coming players who are trying to necessarily prove a point to a bigger team. Also Sian Rogers in goal, who obviously Hannah Hampton is normally in there. It's her first league start in 596 days. She pulled off some really good saves.
She was phenomenal. Yeah, she was so good. And they were throwing their bodies on the line. Like it really meant something to them to get that point. And you could see it on social media as well. They were absolutely buzzing after the game. And it's nice to see that at this point of the season, because it would be easy to coast to the end of the season. And kind of looking at Brighton, I kind of feel like they're kind of just get me to the end of the season. They're giving me Man United in the men's game vibes, just kind of like get this over and done with, get me out of here.
That's a very good example, especially after the weekend results, which we won't bring up because I know it'll just make you sad.
That's fine.
But anyone who is watching this on YouTube will see the massive smile on my face. You mentioned there about the Brighton game. I think a very interesting game, especially from the Irish perspective. 3-1 to Birmingham. Again, only their second win of the season. It's kind of interesting what they're doing at the moment, in the sense that all hope does seem lost, and it kind of does still seem lost, but like Birmingham haven't given up. They are still pushing for those wins and kind of showing that they do want to try and stay up.
They are, but it's almost like that thing where you know it's too late and you've nothing to lose. So maybe they're playing with a little bit less fear. Now, they had to defend again for long periods of time, and they obviously made a lot from set pieces. But yeah, I just wonder, is it that there's no hope, so let's take the shackles off, and you just wish they'd maybe done it a bit earlier in the season? Now, they had a lot to contend with, managerial changes, the whole lot, and obviously they don't have the same squad as some of the teams around them. But Brighton have to have a look at themselves as well. I mean, that first goal, they gave the ball away sloppily in midfield, and Sarri walked past about 6 players, no one really putting a tackle in of any significance. And that kind of set them up. And Sarri is one of those players who is really, really exciting to watch. And you'd wonder if Birmingham would keep hold of her, because if I was one of those teams who was around your West Hams, maybe your Brightons even, I'd be looking at a player like her, because she was so bright and so aggressive in all of her play.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really enjoyed that. And again, a player that I feel we haven't been able to actually see the best of this season because of who she plays for and the sort of service.
They're defending. Majority of the time they don't have the ball, but when she does get on the ball, she can create. She is very, very exciting. And she put one on the head for our Louise Quinn. She was a double goal scorer. So she's up there, probably their top goal scorer this season, is she?
I think she actually is. Or at least she definitely was at some stage in the season. So and I find quite funny about this, if Birmingham do go down. Obviously we saw Liverpool crowned champions of the championship, so it almost feels like we're doing a bit of a swap when it comes to
we'll still have our Irish bias opportunities, hopefully.
Yeah, it was very nice seeing the Irish contingent
it was
lifting the trophy, and we hope that will come a lot more. Big win for Manchester City against Leicester, 4-0. Kind of to be expected with the form that Leicester in at the last while. I think they've conceded like 32 goals in the last 6 games, which is not great numbers. No,
again, they're a team that's lucky that they hit form at the time that they did, because their form lately has been very poor defensively. They're leaking goals, but also City are purring. I mean, they're scoring, they're putting up big scores in all of their games. So yeah, it was to be expected. Back to front, Greenwood, Hemp, kind of can't say enough about them. They're really, really playing so well. And I think now we're pipping them for that Champions League spot.
No, definitely. Even when you look at their running, I think they have Brighton, Birmingham and Reading. Reading have proved to be a little bit of a slippy one for some people. But
they're kind of an unknown quantity. You don't really know what you're going to get with Reading from one day to the next. I feel.
Exactly. Well, 2-1 loss to West Ham this weekend.
But West Ham were good. I actually have to say I enjoyed how West Ham played. They seem to be going for it a bit more, and they caused City some problems the week before. So I think if they could add a couple more players to their squad, we could see them up ahead of I think they overtook maybe Brighton, or they're a team that could improve. I think they're on the up. So looking forward to see what they do. And obviously adding Jess Ziu to their squad will be an exciting one for us to follow.
Very exciting. Our guest on the podcast later on. Great conversation with her coming up, which we can't wait for it. Kara's like, I got the promo in. Look at me go. You're still filling in from your hosting duties for the last couple of months. Well, if anyone listening to the podcast has any thoughts on the WSL race, do you agree with us with the or teams like Spurs, are they falling behind in a way they shouldn't be? Should Arsenal be going for things a bit more? Do let us know. You can get onto us at Off the Ball on Twitter, #OTB COYGIG. All right. In the absence of Emma, I have done this week's WSL Team of the Week. Now, when Catherine, our lovely producer, texted me on Friday to see if I would be interested in taking on this task, I was quite worried, but I've given it my best go, and hopefully... I
would have blocked her number if she'd asked me, so wasn't she asked you?
Yeah, she got me at a weak moment, I have to say. But I will give you the Team of the Week, and then you can tell me your thoughts, queries, comments, and opinions on the whole thing. So we have Ramsey in goal, then we have Carter, Quinn, Greenwood, Hasegawa. And then we have Rayton, Weir, and Cuthbert in our midfield, Hemp and Mead, and then Sari up front. I tried to keep it a little bit interesting and also get the Irish inclusion in there because...
Well, to be fair, I don't think you could argue with Irish bias this week, given that Birmingham got a big win. Louise Quinn popping up with the 2 goals that essentially won the game for them. And they only conceded 1, which they haven't been doing lately. So big shout out to Louise. We're delighted to see that. And look, it's one of those ones you never know if she keeps scoring 2 goals a game from now till the end of the season, what could happen. But delighted for Louise to get on the score sheet.
Also, just very classic of her to kind of just appear when Birmingham needs some goals. And
I know,
Louise Quinn and a header coming in.
It's so funny. I think they said on the commentary that they're all patting her head and they were like, it's like the most famous bonce in the league or something like that. So it is. She used it to great effect. Now she got one with her feet as well. So she has it all. She put her up top. Those times when she's being chucked up top in the last few minutes for Ireland, which absolutely wrecks my head. Maybe I had it wrong. Maybe
I was tempted to do one of Emma's like strange configurations and just put Louise.
Just put her up top. Yeah. I don't think now you could really take away from who you've picked up top there today. Sari was brilliant for Birmingham, so bright. Scored a great goal, terrible defending, but she took it so well. And when she's confident, she looks like she could fit into any team. Similarly, Beth Mead, definitely player of the match in the Arsenal game. And Hemp, if we could have her, I'd have her in every week. Just what an impact she's had for them, for City. She kind of kept them in that race earlier in the season, and now she's hammering in the goals that they're going to get them that Champions League place as well. So definitely agree with all that. Goalkeeper is the only one possibly, because I would look at Rodgers, who, like you said, she hasn't played, and Man United were good. They had chances, and they were hitting bars, and she was getting fingertips onto things, like 6 shots on target, and to man her defense in the way that she did, and they were bodies on the line. That comes from your keeper behind you, putting you in the right places and things like that. So I think she's worth a shout. Ramsey obviously was good as well, but I think just having come from nowhere, I think I would pick Rog for that one.
Yeah, no, that is very fair. Goalkeeper was actually one of the positions I found the hardest to settle on.
Emma finds that a lot as well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
The one we kind of hammer on a lot.
Yeah, well, because I think like there are quite a few good options, and I was even thinking of Chelsea, like with Switch coming on. I thought she did really well considering the conditions that she
really did,
came on with. As you say, Rogers, I think I was kind of torn on her because it was a once-off appear. Like,
it's a sentimental vote, maybe.
Yeah, it did feel a tiny bit like a sentimental vote in my head, but then
I'm all about
I mean, I'll use the classic Emma excuse. She was on my bench.
Okay, she was on the bench. I'll allow it.
If Ramsey got herself sent off, she would have been the keeper that came on.
Fair.
Alan Chelsea.
The only other person then, I understand you wanting to get more midfielders into the team. Maybe I just thought Asante was brilliant as well. For them, I think there was one block she did that was a surefire goal and she just threw herself in front of it. So she'd be worth a shout, but can't really argue with in midfield. Hasegawa's goal for West Ham, I mean,
was lovely. So
lovely. The first touch, the way she took it past the player and the finish. And it was nice to see her definitely getting on the score sheet because she does have so much quality. She's a joy to watch when she's on the ball. Another West Ham player who I've been impressed in recent weeks, not enough maybe to knock Cuthbert or Mead off the team, but I think Evans has been very bright for West Ham as well. Obviously agreed. She's on loan. I'd imagine would you think they'd try and make that permanent next year?
Possibly. I think it could depend on a lot of different, but she has kind of proven, and I don't know where her place would be if she went back as well.
I don't see her getting back into the Arsenal team because I think Arsenal are going kind of from strength to strength in terms of the players that they can attract. I think they'll be getting more and more players from Europe, the likes of Blackstenius obviously joining recently. So it could be a good move for her permanently if she's going to get game time there. Obviously, Jess Ziu will be fighting for that right-hand side place as well. But I just think she's been lively for them and she set up that goal as well. So very direct player and she definitely still has a place in the WSL for sure.
Oh yeah, completely. And I know it was unfortunate for her with the injury she went through at that time in Arsenal because it was that transitionary time and there wasn't a lot of opportunity for her to get back into it. But no, I do think that a move somewhere outside of Arsenal would definitely be a smart one for her. And as you say, with players like Hasegawa, again, I was just really happy to see her actually get a bit of the limelight.
Get on the score sheet because some of her play has deserved it in previous games, but West Ham maybe haven't shown as much as other teams.
Yeah, and you're also less likely probably to watch some of the games for the tactical elements until you see a goal. You're like, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Watch her like go around two defenders and swap feet and do loads of fancy tricks to get her goal.
For me as well, the second half of this season has belonged to Gura Wright, and I think she's just been incredible for this kind of clutch period for Chelsea. She's just so good. Now I think the goal was a cross, but look, we'll allow it anyway.
I was going to ask you this. I was like,
that's a cross. No one's shooting from there. That's an absolute cross. I'm not having that at all. Not a hope. I would say also Blackstad's goal. That's a cross for me as well for City. But Gura Wrighton's play in general gets her on that team. I love watching her. Same with Weir. She's just popping up for City when they need her the most. So she's well worth her spot there too. So good job all around, I'd say, Kathleen.
Thank you very much, Karen. I think that's the nicest thing.
But I won't compliment it too much because Emma might never come back to us. And and I want to keep slagging her. It's fun.
I don't think I could take the stress of doing this every week. So I'm going to leave it to Emma. And I was going to say I might be nicer to her the next time we do this, but it's probably not going to be.
No fun in that.
Well, we will be returning to regularly scheduled program next week with Emma's Teen of the Week returning in all its glory, and I will not have to sit with 7 screens in front of me. But in the meantime,
I'll still be chilling.
Karen, you do it so well.
Thanks.
You have to do all the important stuff at the weekend, scoring goals. We don't have that.
Someone has to.
Get your thoughts, opinions into us on what you think of my selection. You can tweet us at Off the Ball and use the hashtag OTB COYGIG, but please be nice to me.
The COYGIG Pod and OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Joining us on the podcast this week is someone who will soon be leaving the green shores of Ireland for West Ham in the WSL. But for now, we still get to enjoy her in the Women's National League. It is Ireland and Shelbourne's Jessica Ziu. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. How's everything your end? I think it's been an exciting couple of months.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hectic few months. I'm so excited that I can finally go over the seas now and play pro with West Ham. I think it's a club that I've been looking at for a while now. It's kind of been the club that I want to go to make my start. And I went over and trained with them, and then they finally offered me something. So I'm really happy with that, but still have a few games to go with Shells.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I was reading some articles with you like just before the interview, doing my homework and all my good research as I do before every interview. But you were saying, I think it was around the time maybe of the Pinnacle Cup, maybe a bit beforehand, that you weren't like looking to move abroad necessarily, that you were happy enough in Ireland, and then not so long afterwards the West Ham move came. So did you know that it was coming at that stage, or were you all just leading us slightly astray?
Of course you did.
I did know. I knew in the Pinnacle Cup. I told a few of the girls in camp because they were asking, so a few of them knew, my close friends and family, but I told the reporters so that there was a lot going on. But yeah, it was all done and all by then. Sure.
When did the process kind of start? When did you first go over on trial, and what was that like? How long did you stay for?
So I went after Christmas. I went to Brighton also. I went straight away. I had no training because I was off season. I was only back from Disneyland. It was straight after Christmas. Went to Brighton. I didn't enjoy it. I just wasn't myself. My legs were in bits after 2 days of training with them. And then I was West Ham like 3 days later with Saoirse Noonan. And as soon as I just arrived into the ground, it was just amazing. It just felt like home. You know, when you just arrive somewhere and all the girls are so welcoming, the staff. That was in January, I'm pretty sure. And then a few weeks later, 1 or 2 weeks later, my agent got back to me saying that they wanted to offer me something. And I was like, I'll take it straight away. I didn't even have to think twice.
And what was it about coming into West Ham that made it feel like home? Like, I appreciate the fact that sometimes you just land in a place, you can't even really put your finger on it. You just know you like it. But was there anything in particular that stuck out to you about the club?
I think it was the girls. They were so nice. They kind of reminded me of the Shells girls. Jill, the captain, reminded me of Pirlo. Every single bit of her just reminded me of her. And then the training ground too, it just felt like home. It just felt right. I felt like it was the time too to kind of get everything. I was gonna wait. I was thinking, I was like, oh, do I wait and do Champions League with Shells? Because I've been dreaming of Champions League since I joined Shells, since I'm younger. And I was like, nah, it's the time. I've been patient, I think, personally, waiting for this move. So yeah, like I said, when they offered me, I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, because you have said in interviews that you are a home bird, so it was going to take something like that to lure you away from Shells. It will obviously be a big loss for them, but bigger challenges ahead. Do you keep an eye out now? Do you watch all the West Ham games and kind of say, oh, this is how I'll fit into the team, or who am I challenging with for that position on the right wing or up front?
Luckily, they actually play 5 at the back, which kind of fits in with the Weird system. So I know Kate is their right wing back at the minute, and she's very solid. But hopefully, I can go over and give her a challenge, give her a run for her money. Yesterday, the game was on, and I was watching the F1 too. I'm a bit of a Formula One. I was like in between the game and the F1 race. So yeah, we have been watching all the games. My mom is like, Jess, that's Jess's new team, telling everyone. I'm just like, calm down, and not yet. 2 months, but yeah, we've been watching all their games, and they're a solid group of girls. I think good team.
And how do you, I suppose, mentally, it's a little bit of a different situation to like a lot of players would find themselves in the sense that you do have the season that you're in at the moment, and then you know you're going there to the WSL. It's going to be a bit of a change. Like, you're up against world-class players in a way that you probably can't get in the league at the moment.
What do you mean? You kidding? What are you messing?
I hear Sam Kerr is coming over. I'm really excited for that. I am all for. I was like trying to choose my words very carefully there because I have massive respect for the Women's National League and all the players in it. Especially Karen, who is, of course, the goal scorer of the pod after the weekend. But is there any, do you feel like you need to start upping your fitness levels now? Like you said, you went to Brighton, you felt like you had the legs completely run off you. Do you feel like you need to start that prep now, or are you still just very focused on Shells and what you're doing with the team?
So I'm actually lucky that I got to go to West Ham. I got to meet all the staff. I met the PT trainer, and he's after giving me a program to do right now while I'm with Shell. So I've been doing all that. It's kind of helped me with my power, my speed, and my strength. So hopefully when I do go over there, I'm at the same level as the girls. I am thinking about taking a few days off before I go over though, because that would be me going straight from a season into a pre-season into another season. I don't know if that would be healthy for my body, but we have the Georgia camp too in June. So we're trying to like plan something after that camp for a little holiday. But luckily too, though, there's loads of Irish girls over in England at the minute. I was talking to Jamie Finn in camp, and she was saying if I need any help, don't hesitate to message her. Emily Whelan, I can meet up with her. So I can meet up with a few of them. And also, like, we're only 40 minutes across the water on a plane, so I'm sure my family will visit me quite a lot, hopefully.
You'll be getting them over to cook your dinners. I said, have you started learning a few recipes?
No, not at all.
No.
We get fed there. We get lunch there, so I'm gonna have to just
bring the lunchbox in.
Yeah. Get the dog.
So we won't be getting scenes like that from the Katie Taylor documentary where like it shows her trying to cook for herself and she's just like, no, can't do this. I'm a world-class boxer, but cooking a meal, not my forte.
Glasgow, Karen, the game that finished 4-3 in Tolka?
Yeah.
I went over.
I remember it well.
I went over and I lived off, the spaghetti pillows.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just playing pasta in the pucks, like and noodles. And I had fajitas one of the days, and Niamh Farley and Claire Walsh invited me over. And other than that, that was the only bit of meat I had all week. I'm really bad for...
Look, carb loading. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Pasta pillows, the amount of running you do, you'll be fine.
I was going to ask you about the amount of running you do, because I think before you've described yourself as like quite a relentless player, that you like attacking, you like running forward, you like being creative and finding those spaces. Is that something that you've looked to develop particularly in your game over the years? Like, is that the sort of player that you've always aspired to be?
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, now with the national team playing wing backs, I think being a wing back, you do have to be able to run. Only did a weekend because I wear my own GPS in training and games, so I can keep track of all that. And the weekend there I ran 11.2, which is probably one of my highest that I've done in a while. So yeah, that's something that I do like to keep track of, my distance. And yeah, I'm always like, we put them in the Shells group chat because we wear them with Shells too, and I'm always like looking to be the top, because I think everyone aims to be the top. It's kind of good to see your name there at the top of the list, because I think it kind of shows in a way that you are fit if you can run that much during a game. And then it shows you, the GPS is like do breakdowns of like how hard you're running and how powerful it is and stuff. So it's not just walking around. I'm not doing 11k walking around the pitch for 20 minutes. I am running, but yeah, I think all that is interesting, and hopefully I can get to 12k during one of the games. that'd be something now that I'll aim for next.
You do sound like the sort of player that when you see 11.2, you're like, oh, but it's not 12. Could I do that? We'll have to get you back on the show if you do manage that, and we'll give you like a little trophy.
Maybe save that one for June, because I know we're playing you in a couple of weeks and I don't fancy running after you for 12k. I don't like to hit the 12k mark because I know I can't.
Mia Dodd off DLR.
Yeah.
Sent her saying, oh my God, I can't believe I ran 11.2. She sent me hers, and hers was the same. I was like, oh, all right, no. Never mind.
The competitive edge is always there to be seen.
But yeah, the GPSs though sometimes are a bit fun in the group chat when they get put in and everyone's like looking at their stats and they're like, oh, what's this? So yeah, it's something that I do look into, though, the stats.
I was going to say, is that something that you find quite helpful? I presume, like, being able to see everything and a complete breakdown of it. Are you the sort of person that'll sit down with it all and like keep track of it week by week? And you've said you seek to improve them, so obviously like that's something you do like, but in terms of improving things for yourself or stats, something as well as like say video or anything else for games that is important?
Yeah, and also on the GPS app you can put yourself up against pros too and kind of compare your game to their game, which is class. And when it comes to the videoing and stuff on Huddle, I live on Huddle. That's all. I'm such a winner. After our games, I'll watch the game 2 or 3 times that night. Then I'll watch it again that day, the day after. I'll watch it like 5 or 6 in total on League of Ireland. And then I'll start screen recording the only bits, I have the ball and stuff. So I just don't keep going back to watch it and watch it. So yeah, when it comes to like videoing and stuff, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I am. I watch it so many times a day and I just keep going back. I do.
I think that's probably a feature of you and the improvement that you're going and to get to that elite level, because we have seen girls go over who've maybe struggled, but you seem to have the mentality that you're gonna make it happen. You're already eyeing up a spot there. Is there anyone kind of on the Irish team that you're looking at now and you take mostly from their game? Because you can obviously play on the wing back is a new thing, and you obviously really excelled there. And I do think that that's probably a position that once you get a bit more experience, you could really thrive in.
Yeah, I think the most obvious name I'm going to say is Katie.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, she can play left wing back. She kind of, I wouldn't say, you know, the way she started wing with Shels, Rahini, you could say that's like me. And now at the minute I'm playing right wing back with the Ireland team, and so is she. She's playing left back with Arsenal. So in a way, she kind of I probably remind her. Yeah, probably the
You're
way
following in her footsteps, we'll say.
Yeah, she's older than me. But also, she didn't have it easy to at Arsenal. She had to go out on loan and stuff to actually get game time. So I think I am kind of trying to look at her footsteps and everything she's doing, because I'm kind of in the same situation as Katie, just a younger version. So yeah, I'll probably be looking up to Katie a lot.
Not surprised. I was just
to have to look up to be fair.
I'm not a bad one.
You could definitely do a lot worse, I would think, and especially with the amount that Katie features on the show with us, just talking about her in general. You mentioned about your family coming over to watch you play your games. I read before that you're quite close to them, and Karen mentioned there about you being a bit of a home bird, so we'll be seeing the whole clan at WSL matches next year.
There's 9 of us, and then I'm the youngest of 9, so it's not easy leaving them all. I'm so used to being in a house that's noisy all the time. Everyone's here. So yeah, it's going to be different. Hopefully though, I'm going to be in a player's house. So hopefully the girls are welcoming. I'd say they will be though, because they're all so nice. And also it's the dogs too. I've grown up with dogs and they're kind of my life there. I'll probably be missing the dogs more than my parents, to be honest.
Taking on a part-time job, dog walking.
Yeah, that's one of the girls off Glasgow does that. I might have to actually doing that. But yeah, hopefully, my mum said she's going to come over for the first 2 weeks when I do go over, and my little cousin and niece also are going to come over. And all my brothers said they're going to come over the weekends during the games, because sure, it's cheap too. It is. It's not like it's an expensive fight or anything. So
all converted West Ham fans. What kind of a household are you? Who do you support at the moment before you're converted?
So my brothers are United. Dad is Chelsea. I'm City, right? But people will be like, oh, you're one of them washed up fans that are coming in late. Right? My first ever jersey when I was 5 is a Man City jersey. I'm a City supporter. I've had every jersey. I have a Liverpool jersey, a Chelsea jersey, United. My mom just bought me any jersey when I was younger. And then I kind of just followed my brother's footsteps growing up, just I'll support United because it's always on in the house. They all have United jerseys. And then when I actually went over to City to train with them when I was like 13, 14, I kind of seen their facilities and I was like, yeah, that is the club I want to support.
Good banter in your house, so a lot of slagging, I'd say, at the moment.
It's so funny. It's when a decision comes up, like when VAR and all has to come into it, all to be sitting on the couch hating each other over. So it's funny, it is.
I'd say it's definitely funny for you at the moment, because you probably are the happiest out of the lot of them at the moment with how things are going.
My dad, I was actually in camp, the Champions League, the Chelsea Madrid game, and my mom was just texting me saying he's gone mad, and I was just like, get in. It was.
It's nice to have that support as well though, and like you say, because there's so many of the Irish girls over there, like we've talked to so many of them on this show, and they all say that once you're over there, everyone kind of looks out for you, and everyone's always saying if certain like younger players in particular come over and need things, they're there, because they know as well that even when it comes to the national team, your performance is so important for our national hopes in terms of like whether it's qualifying for a World Cup or a Euros down the line or whatever it is. You've been described a few times by like different like outlets, journalists, like fellow players as something of like a rising star, a younger player that people are looking to as like the next generation, as Karen said. And also you've had access to a lot of things that maybe some of the older players haven't, to like get your development to a better spot than they possibly did and have had to do a lot later on. What has it been like for you coming into the Ireland squad, and what has the experience been like? Is that the sort of thing that you were dreaming of when you were 4 or 5 and starting playing football? Were you looking at the squad and being like, oh, someday that'll be me?
When I was 4 and 5, yeah, I always wanted to be a pro, but I only kind of started recognising the national team probably like 12, 13, 14. You know, they weren't.
And so you joined it like a year or two later, and it was great.
And they weren't as big when I was that age, but now to see how big everyone is on the team, it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, Katie is literally role models for the whole of Ireland. Like, it's unbelievable to see. And even there's girls that do be texting me, and I'm like, oh god, like I'm not used to it. It's mad how we can just be role models for so many people in Ireland. But yeah, I've always wanted to be pro though. That's all I do is play football. I mean, I've sacrificed weekends out with my friends and everything just to get here. And I don't want to say I'm finally there. I'm not there yet. When I get over to West Ham, I need to, like I said, I want to start. I want to get game time, because to get game time, I need that to be in the national team. I think you've seen that with a few players that aren't getting game time in England at the minute, and they're not making it into the national team. So that'll be my priority when I go over there, is to get game time. And if I can't, possible loan, I guess, which I don't want to do. I want to get down, get hard work and get a spot straight away. But coming into the national team, my first ever camp was under Colin, and he actually told me at a home base that he'd be calling me in. So I kind of knew my parents were in with me. And he told me when I turned 16, and I had Izzy Atkinson in my first ever camp, and she was my roomie. So I think I've been lucky on that side that we had a very young team that was coming into. Tyler too, another young player.
Yeah, Colin blooded a lot of young talent, and some have fallen off the wayside, but you've kind of gone from strength to strength. So hopefully that trajectory keeps going. Did you consult Vera or anything before you made that decision, or was this something you just knew for yourself that this is what you wanted to do? Was she kind of recommended WSL or elsewhere?
It's more like some of the girls in camp, kind of Katie and stuff. She wants us all playing abroad. She wants us all in a professional setup. And then I did let Vera know what my plans were. And she was just saying, like, you know, game time. I was like, yeah, no, well aware of that. And like I said there, hopefully I can get over and get some game time, go into preseason and have a good preseason. But yeah, Vera did know of it. Mm-hmm. I think even before I told Vera, like I said, I just knew it was my team. It's the team that I wanted to go to.
And as a younger player who is, like, you've been with Shells for a while, you're making this move now to the WSL. It's a great step for you in your career, but we're seeing like a lot of really talented players move on, and it's that dual thing of like, it's great and we're really happy and it's really exciting and it's lovely to see Irish players going abroad, but also you want them to be able to have the opportunity to like stay here and compete. And you've stayed in the league probably for a bit longer than some people might have even expected. And you said, you know, it was something that you wanted to make the move when you were ready. How does it feel, leaving Shells behind when you do have that connection with it? And also, what do you think about the thing of young players leaving and that talent draining from the league itself? Because I know most of the Irish players would say the league has given them so many opportunities in the first place.
Yeah, I seen something on Facebook about that, about all the players leaving Ireland, all the talent, they say. But I think I was saying to the girls, I was saying to Izzy and Abby in the recent camp, like, it's kind of sad that we can't play professional football in our own country and go home to our own houses after training like some of the English girls can do. It's kind of sad about that. But hopefully in a few years, Ireland, I think we're making the right steps in the right direction, just a bit slowly. But hopefully in a few years I can come back and play for Shells. But in terms of England, though, they're just... at the minute, they're just the best league in the world, and that's where I want to be. I want to be on that platform with the best I do. The games are shown on TV. That's where I want to be at the minute. Leaving Shells, I haven't really thought about it a lot. Kind of sad. I know when it comes and that moment comes, I'll be much worse than I am now, but it's a few months to go still. Gutted that I'm missing Champions League, but everything happens for a reason. I live by that motto, I do, so it's the right time too. So we'll see when that time comes. I'll probably be crying leaving everyone.
Well, you never know as well when the opportunity might come around for Champions League. I mean, if you're looking at Katie as your hero, then you could be getting quite far into the competition sometime down the line. And if you do, you have to remember us and like keep giving us these interviews and stuff.
We need the
Jess, thank you so much for talking to us this week, and best of luck with everything. We will of course be watching on and all. That's it for this week's episode of the COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. As ever, we'll be back with you again next week with all your WSL and WNL analysis, gossip and goodness, as well as everything in between. So make sure you're subscribed to the COYGIG Pod and all your usual places, and we will chat to you then.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.